As this rude girl is on her way to a job interview, an old woman stops her and says, "Miss, could you please help me for a moment?" The rude girl says, "Why should I help you? Stay away from me, you unlucky old woman." After saying this, the rude girl walks away. At that very moment, a young man passes by and asks the woman, "Auntie, what happened?" The woman says, "I accidentally fell down. Could you please help me get up?" The young man says, "Yes, Auntie, come slowly." But then he suddenly steps back and says, "Oh no, what if I help you and you accuse me of something? I am going to an interview. Goodbye." After the young man leaves, a kind-hearted girl notices the woman and says, "Auntie, are you all right? Come, let me help you up. Slowly. Please sit here." The old woman says, "Thank you so much, dear." The kind girl says, "It is all right, Auntie. Where do you need to go?" The woman says, "I need to go to the building in front. Can you take me there?" She says, "Yes, of course. I will take you." The kind-hearted girl helps the old woman reach her destination and says, "Here you are, Auntie. We have arrived. By coincidence, my interview is also in the same building. All right then. I should go now or I will be late." Meanwhile, by coincidence, the same young man and the rude girl are also there in that office for the interview. The manager says, "There is still one more candidate left. I do not know why she has not arrived yet." The rude girl says, "Boss, forget about her. People who come this late are not worth waiting for." The young man also says, "Yes, boss. A person who does not value time cannot work properly." The manager says, "All right, let us begin the interview." At that same moment, the kind-hearted girl arrives and says, "Boss, I am sorry. An important matter came up on the way, so I got delayed." The manager says, "You should be punctual." "All right, now all of you introduce yourselves." The rude girl says, "Boss, I am a graduate. I studied marketing and management. I have also heard that your company pays hundreds of thousands every month." Then the young man says, "Boss, I studied at a major university abroad, and I have worked in international companies. Please look at my file." The rude girl says, "Look at mine." Both greedy candidates begin arguing. The manager silences them and asks the kind-hearted girl. She humbly says, "Boss, I have only studied up to middle school." The two candidates burst out laughing loudly, and the young man says, "What? Even a middle school pass has come for an interview? This is a joke." She says, "Boss, although my education is limited, I have been involved in business with my parents since childhood." The manager says, "All three of you consider yourselves capable, so this is today's test. This is corn. Advertise it and show me." The rude and arrogant girl presents her advertisement. Then the young man presents his advertisement. Then the same kind-hearted girl gives hers. The kind-hearted girl calmly explains every single detail in a very composed manner, and the manager likes her method. He says, "You truly gave the best presentation, but unfortunately, your education does not meet our requirement. I will hire these two." At that exact moment, the same old woman in the wheelchair, who is actually the chairwoman of the company, arrives and says, "One moment. Education is important in its place, but humanity, character, and wisdom are even more important. The two people you are choosing are not acceptable to me because both of them turned their faces away when they saw a fallen old woman on the road, while this girl helped her without any greed. From today onward, this job belongs to this girl. And that old woman was me." Everyone is left shocked. Many people may have degrees, but true success belongs only to the one whose heart is filled with humanity. Do you think the chairwoman chose the right candidate? Please share your opinion in the comments.